Hello, my lovely bookish people, and welcome back. So it's been a while, but I've not really read anything. But today I received some lovely book post, and that is a copy of A Fatal Love by Louisa Treger, which is a novel about about Ruth Ellis, who we may know just recently had her death sentence commuted. So it's a fictionalized telling of her story, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. So this is what it says. It is Easter Sunday in 1955. A young man lies face down on the ground, covered in blood. A woman, blonde and petite, stands over him with a gun in her hand. This is the story of Ruth Ellis, as never told before. As Ruth awaits her trial in Holloway Prison, she recollects growing up in England during the Second World War and the events that led to the death of her lover, David Blakely. Meanwhile, Kitty Carrington, the assistant to Ruth's trial lawyer, tries to forge her own path through the male-dominated legal world of the 1950s to ensure that Ruth receives a fair trial. Navigating secrets, betrayal, and the broken justice system, Ruth and Kitty tried to take control of their own lives and narratives, but do we ever really know the full story? So that's A Fatal Love by Ruth Ellis, which is just out now, published by Bloomsbury. Now, Louisa is also the writer of 4 other novels, which are actually based on real people. So I suppose you could call it fiction and fact together. So her first novel was The Lodger, which is this one here, and it's Dorothy Richardson is existing just above the poverty line, doing secretarial work at a dentist's office and living in a seedy boarding house in Bloomsbury, where she is invited to spend the weekend with a childhood friend, Jane. Jane has recently married a writer who is on the brink of fame. His name is H.G. Wells, or Bertie, as they call him. Bertie appears unremarkable at first, but then Dorothy notices grey blue eyes taking her in, openly signalling approval. He tells her he and Jane have an agreement which allows them the freedom to take lovers, although Dorothy can tell her friend would not be happy with this arrangement. Not wanting to betray Jane, yet unable to draw back, Dorothy free falls into a love affair with Bertie. Then a new boarder arrives in the house, beautiful Veronica Leslie Jones, and Dorothy finds herself caught between Veronica and Bertie. Amidst the personal dramas and wreckage of a militant suffragette march, Dorothy finds her voice as a writer. Now, I have read this many years ago, and I did really enjoy it, so I do recommend this one. That's A Fatal Love. The Lodger. Her next novel was The Dragon Lady. Yeah, I love the cover, and this is about opening with the shooting of Lady Virginia Ginny Coulthard in her tranquil garden in 1950s Rhodesia. You might know that they actually also founded the Coulthard Gallery in London at the Somerset House. So I read this again and I really did love this. Fascinating story. Then her next novel was Mad Women, which is this one here. And in 1887, young Nellie Bly sets out for New York and a career in journalism, determined to make her way as a serious reporter, whatever that may take. Now, at the time, in New York, there was I suppose you call it a mental institute, and there were reports that they were mistreating patients. And so what Nellie did, she got herself committed to the institute, I think for about 7 days, and then when she was released, she then wrote an expose about that institute, and of course they tried to cover it up and everything. But again, to say I enjoyed it, to use the word enjoy isn't perhaps the right word, because it's deeply disturbing of how this institute did treat inmates. Shocking, very thought-provoking, but again, I really do recommend it. So that's Mad Woman. And then her last novel was The Paris Muse, which is about the love affair between photographer and artist Dora Maar and the painter Picasso. It's so it says here, Paris 1936, when Dora Maar, a talented French photographer, painter and poet, is introduced to Pablo Picasso. She's instantly mesmerized. Drawn to his volcanic creativity, it isn't long before she embarks on a passionate relationship with the Spanish artist that ultimately pushes her to the edge. So it's about their love affair. It's dysfunctional, at times really horrible. It's quite shocking. And again, to use the word enjoy is a bit of an odd word to use because it is at times really disturbing. But again, very, very well worth a read. I recommend that. So that was The Paris Muse, Mad Women, The Dragon Lady, The Lodger, and her latest novel, A Fatal Love. And I strongly recommend you give her books a go because they, as I said, they are based on real people, very well researched, and so it's fiction and fact together, melded together, and they tell the stories of some amazing and remarkable women. Yeah, very well worth a read. And if you've read any of these books, please let me know what you think. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe. And I'll be back with you shortly after I've read Fatal Love. Bye bye for now.